Welcome to the inaugural meeting of the Canberra Colour Club, a meeting place for those who have a passion for colour. The club was founded approximately 9 months ago by 5 of us, all relatively newcomers to Canberra, to meet over coffee and pastries and chat on colour topics. For formal sessions such as today's, we will be working under the umbrella of the New South Wales Division of the Colour Society of Australia. A big thanks to David for your support. We have a very exciting programme of colour events scheduled well into 2025. In November, Dr Alexandra Lipscher will be presenting on her outstanding recent books, Colour Concepts 1686 to 1963, and The Artist's Palettes, as well as the research into the women's contribution to colour history. So watch this colour space. Lock in Tuesday, November 26th. You're all welcome to join us again. Our current club members are Dr. Jean Pretorius, a mathematician, artist, and investment counsellor. He's director of the International Simon Murray Mathematical Competition for undergraduate students, as well as the owner of the company Paint Life. He's a former president of the Colour Society of Australia, and he now lives in Canberra and contributes to the Canberra Colour Club. Then we have Professor Laura Berman, scholar, educator, and artist from the University of Kansas, who joined the group while studying at Canberra University on a Fulbright scholarship. She's also responsibility for the Alliteration Canberra Colour Club. Sonia van der Haar, a mural artist who works with major construction projects. She has a studio in the Lion Smith Arts Centre in Fishwick, Canberra, and one of her most recent projects was the Veterinary Hospital in Bankstown, Sydney. Liz Coates, an abstract colour painter who has exhibited in solo and group shows since the mid-1970s. She has numerous paintings in public collections, such as the National Gallery of Australia, the National Gallery of Victoria, the Art Gallery of New South Wales, and the Auckland City Art Gallery. Then myself, a technical colour educator and practitioner, with over 40 years in the world of colour measurement. I'm an honorary life member of the Colour Society of Australia. I was a member of the Association Internationale de la Couleurs Executive Committee for 14 years, including 4 years as chair of the organising committee for AIC Congress 2009, and 2 years as president. The AIC is a global organisation founded in 1967 and has a membership of 28 national colour associations, including the Colour Society of Australia. So how did we get to this point in time? Well, I'll try and be brief. This journey started in 2016 when I first met Jeanette Hannenberg at AIC 2016 in Santiago, Chile. At the end of the AIC 2016 conference and a trip to the wonderful, colourful city of Valparaiso, a small group of us, including Berit Bergstrom, Javier Romero, both former presidents of the AIC, myself and Jeanette, met for a relaxing dinner, during which Jeanette asked for our advice on setting up ICA Belgium as a member of the AIC. ICA Belgium is now a member of the AIC and one of its most proactive members. Jeanette and her colleagues, Marcia Corin and Inez Michel, organise regular Sunday coffee meetings with an invited speaker. And this has been an inspiration for the establishment of the Colour Club of Canberra, the Canberra Colour Club. I met Sonia online at an ICA coffee morning where she gave a presentation on her work. Crazy, the Global Colour Network in operation. Sonia and myself in Canberra independently, meeting in Belgium. The die was cast. So now to today's webinar. Please use the chat button if you have any questions, which can be followed up in the Q&A section. I first became aware of das Farbenbuch from Professor Ralph Weber, Senior Research Professor of Architecture at the Faculty of Architecture at Dresden University of Technology, and a former Secretary-Treasurer of the AIC. Ralph gave me Dr Juraj Lipscher's contact details to enable me to acquire a copy of das Farbenbuch. It is a great honour that Dr Juraj Lipscher, one of the 3 co-authors, is the presenter at this inaugural meeting of the Canberra Colour Club. Dr. Lipscher will introduce us to the concepts and technology he and his co-authors, Stefan Muntwyler, who sadly died in October last year, and Hanspeter Schneider, developed in order to produce Das Farbenbuch, a quintessential and inspiring treatise on the characteristics and use of 367 pigments and dyes. A true masterpiece. Juraj, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Nick, for the kind introduction. And hello to everybody. I hope that my English is up to the task to present the Farbenbuch, the book of colors. And now I'm going to share my screen and show the presentation. Okay. Do you see the presentation fine?
Yeah.
Okay, super. So the Farbenbuch has been published in 2022. We have printed 5,000 copies, and we're really afraid of the economical consequences of so many copies. But the first edition was sold out in 4 months, and now we are in second printing of 6,000, and half of the whole printing is already away. So I would like to introduce authors first. Just one second. Yeah. Okay, so here is Stefan Muntwyler. He was a painter and was basically working with pigments as his material for about 40 years. He was lecturing and researching and had a huge collection of pigments and a huge library on the subject. Then myself, I am a chemist and studied chemistry at the University of Zurich, and I have been in education since my leave of the university. And this is Hanspeter Schneider, who is a specialist for book printing and graphic design. And except for these 3 main authors and editors, we had about 20 other authors from all fields, for example, biologists, artists, art historians, chemists, Egyptologists, archaeologists, and many others, basically. So what I want to do is first present in part 1 the content and the main tenets of the book. What moved us to do this book? It's a big book. It's almost 500 pages. So what was the motivation? What was our philosophy in writing this book? The first main tenet, first main aspect of the book is materiality of art. We were concentrating and putting the main intention and attention to the materials with which the art is created. Here is a beautiful picture of the African woman painting her cottage with her own hands. So this is what we mean by materiality of art, the materials used in creating art. The second very important aspect that was mainly my concern was that the book is positioned on the crossroads between art and science. Both aspects are very important, and we have tried a synthesis of both aspects. Here is a small example. This is a painting by Picasso from his blue period called The Blue Room, and it's in New York in the Phillips collection. And this was, for example, this was investigated by infrared method, and this is what was found out. So we see that beneath the blue room, the Picasso's painting was another painting of a well-groomed gentleman whose identity is not yet known. We don't know who it was, but Picasso obviously repainted the painting and didn't throw away the canvas which he used for this painting and made another painting on top of it. And it's astonishing how good the quality is of the image beneath the surface of the painting. Another aspect of the scientific connection to science is a small print here. We have tried and succeeded basically in giving quotations to original literature in all aspects of the book. So here you see the quotations, and here is a bibliography, and quite extensive bibliography to basically to every page or to every small chapter or part of the book. The third aspect is very simple. This is the aesthetic dimension of the book. The book is beautiful, yeah. In all humbleness, which I don't have, I can say that we succeed. This is what we hear from other people, that the book is aesthetically very satisfying. I will try to exemplify it by showing several pages afterwards. So the first main chapter, and it's basically about almost half of the book, is dedicated to pigments and dyes. We have, as Nick already mentioned, we have described in word and image 367 different pigments and dyes. And I will show now like a specimen of a double page for one pigment. This is a brown ochre. And we have several parts of the page, which I will now describe. The first part is a text, which is structured according to, we have, for example, which you don't see because the print is too small and it's also in German. But we have first names of the pigments, various names. Most pigments are known with several names. Then we have the chemical composition, what kind of material is it? Then we have preparation or occurrence in nature. Then we have a small chapter or small part for properties and artistic properties. For example, can it be mixed with other pigments or not? And very important history of the pigment. Since when is the pigment in use, and what was the exact story to the history? The next part of the double page is an example of a painting where the pigment or dye was used prominently. So this is an example of Modigliani portrait of his wife, and her hair were painted with brown ochre, predominantly with brown ochre. I want to mention that this is not so easy as it seems, because not very many paintings have been analyzed, and it was not easy basically to find a painting which was analyzed with scientific methods and showed the pigment in point. The next part are the painted swatches, which were handmade. All 367 pigments handmade by Stefan Muntwyler, and mostly in three different densities. So this is a glazing, like a transparent way of painting, and until the last one is covering painting. So we have several kinds of brown ochre, because this is a natural material, and there are different colors, different sorts of ochre, and with different colors. And the last part of the double page is images, photographs of the pigment itself as a powder, mostly. And we have done it ourselves with Hanspeter, Schneider, and me. We have done it ourselves for all 367 pigments, new photographs for all of them. Now I am going to show us some example pages of pigment. For example, we have here vermilion, very well-known pigment since antiquity, and beautiful example of Johannes Vermeer, the lady in red hat. Here we don't have different. We have two densities, but the different kinds of vermilion is not a different minerals, but it's a different size of the crystals. With vermilion, it is very significant that the color is dependent on the size of the crystals. So we have different examples of this. Azurite is also a well-known mineral and pigment which is known since antiquity. We have an Albert Althofer painting, Christ saying goodbye to his mother, and also different kinds of azurite qualities in 3 different densities. Emerald green is a very well-known pigment, which is 19th century development, and a beautiful, beautiful example of Van Gogh's self-portrait dedicated to Paul Gauguin. More modern pigments prepared also in 19th century, other pigments, which are in thousands or almost today in 100,000s of different pigments, which are prepared with biochemical industries in all over the world. And a nice example of the use of this red pigment, toluidine red, by Kirchner, Ludwig Kirchner. Okay, now at the end of the pigment compendium, we have 3 double pages for a timeline of pigments, where you can see in the timeline in the middle of the page, and the pigments are placed according to when they were first used or first prepared. Yeah, so we have pigments from prehistoric times, like the ochres or charcoal, and be until 21st century. The last is 2012, the pigments which were prepared recently. In the next chapter, the second chapter is our analysis of paintings, starting from medieval paintings and up to 20th century. The last one is Jackson Pollock. I give 2 examples. I show 2 examples of such analyses. No, first we give an overview of scientific methods which are being used for investigating the paintings. Here, for example, is it's a La Mousme by Van Gogh, and it was investigated by infrared spectroscopy. And what was shown was that he used 2 different kind of blue pigments for the blouse and for the skirt. Here we see the blouse, and this is ultramarine, and in the rock, no, in the here it was cobalt blue, I think. Yeah, cobalt blue. No, Prussian blue. Excuse me. It was Prussian blue, and we can distinguish these pigments by very different infrared spectra. The first example of pigment analysis is his Vermeer painting, The Milkmaid, which is interesting because he used very, very expensive ultramarine, which was normally used only for the Virgin in the other paintings, but he used it for the apron and for the table covering, and yeah. And here we have markings in the painting and with numbers, and below you have these specific pigments and numbers. So you can on the all markings you can see which pigments were used by Vermeer in this painting. Here at the text there is an art historian who described the painting and the circumstances art historically. Next painting is an impressionist painting by Berthe Morisot. And we see also like the pigments below. And what is significant here and what I want to stress is that this painting is more colorful than the previous one. You see, the previous painting is also very nice colors, but this is much richer in colors. And now we can say that the impressionists liked it colorful, and there were art historical reasons for that. But also we can say that if we know the history of chemistry, that in previously, like in 18th and 19th centuries, new elements were discovered. For example, cobalt with 4 different pigments which were prepared from cobalt metal, chromium with 2 pigments, and cadmium with 3 pigments. And also new pigments were synthesized from known elements, for example, emerald green and Prussian blue. So the impressionists received the possibility from industry and chemists to paint more colorful, and had very much bigger choice of pigments for their work. The next chapter in the book is color stories. We have 19 different color stories, which are longer than the description of pigments in the pigment compendium, and are about well-known pigments or well-known colors. For example, we have stories about indigo, about ultramarine, about lead white, and about black pigments and black paints and prehistoric paints and so on. I will show now one story which was written by me about alchemy of colors. This is a double page. The first page, it's about 10 pages long, but this is the first double page, and I would like to show the main idea. You know, the alchemists themselves, the medieval alchemists, they had this idea that the less brilliant metals like lead and iron and zinc were maturing inside of the earth during millions of years up to the king of the metals, the gold. Yeah, so this is a beginning stage of the maturation process, and this is a final stage. And what the alchemists wanted to do is to speed up this process of slow maturing of the metals in their laboratories, and this was their idea. Now, as a modern chemist, I have to admit that this idea is not based on much success. And we know now that it's not possible to change lead directly to gold. But still, you see, when you look at this painting by Rembrandt, the Belshazzar feast. By the way, it's a story of his father, Belshazzar's father, the Nebuchadnezzar, has desecrated the temple in Jerusalem and stolen all the dishes, golden dishes. And his son Belshazzar made a big feast, big party using these dishes, until a script appeared on the wall from God, and he prophesied him that he will be punished for his deed. And indeed, in the night he was slain, and his kingdom basically was divided unto other things. So here you see gold. It's almost more gold than the gold which I have shown before. And when you ask what material was used by Rembrandt, then it's basically lead or a compound of lead. Lead tin yellow, a well-known pigment since about 1300, in very much used in the Renaissance and Baroque. And this is a brilliant yellow pigment which was used for the gold stitchings here in the mantle of Belshazzar, and also for the scripture on the wall. So lead can be transmutated into gold in the in other sense of the word. And I will show not only lead yellow, which is made, which is a lead compound, but also Naples yellow, which is lead antimonate, and lead tin antimonate, another pigment which was rarely used in the vicinity of Rome for a short period of time, and also minium, which is an orange pigment, and oxide of gold. So this is an example of a story in our book about specific yellow paints and pigment made from lead. Okay, so this would be a short overview of the content of the book. Now, another particular aspect of our book is the printing process, which was developed by Hanspeter Schneider. And I will first show why we needed a specific new printing process. You see, we had the task to depict 367 pigments and dyes, and we were attempting color. We wanted to show these colors as they really are, like a veracity of the color depiction. And you can imagine that this is not an easy task. And normally you use for all books and other printed material is printed using 4-color offset printing. We have cyan as a blue color, magenta is magenta, then yellow and black. And all basically all colors can be mixed by taking certain proportions of these 4 colors. Now I will show several examples of printed and original, but you have to understand that normally when we do lectures about this book, we show the printed material and beside the original painted swatches, which I cannot do because I asked Nick if the whole Australian Color Society would come to Switzerland, but he said it's not feasible. So I have to show the printed material on the screen, which is basically not correct and cannot be very exact. So we have a painted swatch depicted on the screen, and here is the best 4-color printing result. So I hope that you see the difference. This would be Prussian blue, and Prussian blue is characteristic. It's very dark blue, but luminous. You see, there is really this contradiction. It's very dark, but still luminous. And what you get with 4-color printing is dark gray blue, but nothing better. A similar thing is with emerald green. This is a very cold and also luminous color, emerald green. And this is the best thing which you can do by mixing blue, cyan, and yellow. Okay. Violet is even worse. This is one of the most difficult colors to depict in printing. This is left, you see, is a painted swatch by Stefan Muntwyler, scanned and shown on screen. And this is a 4-color printing, the best result of this procedure. So we have obvious. I want to say, I want to mention that not every color is so difficult. there are many colors which can be very well printed in 4-color system. I have chosen the most difficult ones. So what Hanspeter Schneider did, and his collaborator Natascha Schwank, which is she's indispensable for this project. I want to mention her for sure. And what they attempted to do is to widen the color space of the printing. So they had to add additional colors to the printing, to the 4 colors. This is the proprietary book, which shows the mixtures of various added colors with the 4 colors printing. We have produced a book with 10,000 fields of mixture of these different new colors. And then what we did is take an original painted swatch and attempted to place it somewhere in this book and see what mixture of the new colors could be used to depict the painted towards the original colors. This is, I think, cobalt blue or ultramarine. So what they come up with, I have to shorten it a little bit. The process was lengthy. It's a result of 20 years of experience and of work with it. This is 4 standard color printing colors, like I mentioned, yellow, magenta, cyan, and black. And they added 7 additional colors: 1 red, 2 greens, 2 blues, and 2 violets. This gives us 11 color printing, and then we had to, for 1 double page where we show the luminescent colors. This can only be printed with luminescent colors, obviously, because they glow. So we added these 6 luminescent colors, which can be bought and which can be used in printing. That's no problem. This gives us 17 colors, and the last one was a special dark gray anthracite color for print, because they found out that if the book is so colorful, pure black would not harmonize with the colors. So they developed a special dark color for text printing. So we have now 18 colors which we want to use in printing, but obviously this is connected to a lot of difficulties. I want to show the press which we used for printing the book. It's a big Heidelberg. It's about 20 meters, 60 feet long, a huge machine, and it has 5 cylinders, 5 printing cylinders for 5 different colors. So we cannot obviously produce the sheets in one go, in one printing run. We have to let the sheets several times through the printing machine. And this poses a big problem. First, we have no possibility of testing. You see, normally when you print with 4-color printing, everything is organized for this process, and it's proven and used. And you can, in Photoshop, in the computer, you can print a soft proof, and you have more or less exact result, which will be produced in printing. This with 18 colors, you cannot do that. So what we had to do, I show afterwards the solution which we used. And the register accuracy, like when you let the sheets through the machine, they are moistened and heated, so their dimension changes a little bit. When you come in, then you let it dry, and when you come next day, the paper has slightly different dimension. So when you run a next print run, then if you don't watch it, you have defocusing caused because the printing goes to the slightly different place. So they had to be very careful and it, many times we had to throw away the whole printing run because it was not the register accuracy was not enough. Something very special, I don't know. I mean, we are among specialists here. You have a raster in offset printing. You have small points, and when you put them, you put several on top of each other, you get more effects. They are like when you look through the mesh of fine mesh of net, for example, you get these interference patterns which are very disturbing, and you have to take measures to prevent it. So what we have to do, we have put together test sheets with the most difficult colors here and also some paintings, and went to the printing shop and made a printing run, which entails at least 500 sheets. You have to print 500 sheets before the machine is running smoothly, and then you see that you still have deviations of colors, and you have to go home, correct, and come again. And I want to one small detail is that this printing run, a test run like this, costs about 4,000 Australian dollars. So it's very involved, the procedure. And what we did then, we let the printing sheets, these are ready printing sheets, printed already, and Hanspeter Schneider is comparing the blue here of cobalt blue to the original painted work. And when there was a deviation, we had to correct and then go again. Okay, now I want to show the results. And as I already said, I repeat it, this is only depiction on the screen. You should see the real original painted swatch and printed result. So left you have 4-color printing of medium and expanded color space printing, 18 colors. You have right, and you see how more beautiful the medium color is. This is also one of the more difficult colors to print. Ultramarine is even worse. The 4-color printing is pitiful. It's really absolutely, it's a gray blue. It's not a pure blue, and we have here expanded color space using 3 blue colors. Beside of cyan, we use this is both warm and cold blue additionally. Emerald green, the same story. 4-color printing process is not cold green, and here we have a screen depiction of our result in 18-color printing. Prussian blue, same thing, but here I can say that the screen depiction is really bad. You would have to see the original printing and original Prussian blue painted swatch. Cobalt violet, big difference. So I hope that I have shown you the necessity of the 18-color printing. When you really want to have a double page on cobalt violet and write this is cobalt violet, then you have to have this. We didn't want to let us be satisfied with 90%. As somebody suggested to us, a big publisher in Germany told us once, yeah, he could print the 90% of the quality with 4-color printing. So we didn't want to have 90%. We wanted to have close to 100%. Okay, now this is all. Thank you very much for your attention. And now, if you have any questions, I would be very happy to answer them to my best ability.
Hey, Juraj, thank you very much for that. Sorry, I'm just switching on my video here. Just introducing myself, I'm Jean Pretorius. I'm part of the Canberra Colour Club. And I just wanted to start off, I mean, you yourself mentioned the materiality of the color in the beginning. And I was quite interested in how you prepared or what's essentially the paints for the drawdowns in this case. Like, so what sort of binder were you using, and what was the drawdowns? What did you do it on? Was it specially prepared paper or was it fabric? If you could just tell us a little bit more about that part of the process.
So the first thing is Stefan Muntwyler did the swatches, and he experimented with many binders and used different binders for different pigments. We have a small chapter, which I didn't mention in my presentation here, on binders, and he did a test run, very, very exacting test run with I think 24 or 42 different binders, and using two pigments, I think cobalt blue and caput mortuum. I'm not totally sure, like in at least 20 different binders, showing the different hues of the pigments in different binders. So this is the answer to the question. Yeah, I don't know exactly what binder he used in particular pigment, but I know that he experimented. And the paper was normal artist paper, which he used for the painted swatches, I assume you were asking about.
Yes, definitely. And we're also interested in the dyes, because obviously depending on the paper, there'd be a certain amount of absorbency, which sometimes has an effect on what you see.
Exactly. Yeah. But he used only one kind of artistic paper. I think it was Hanspeter, something, like an artistic paper, aquarelle paper, a thick carton paper for artists. Yeah.
So the pigments, I mean, obviously, especially with the natural pigments, there are many possible sources. If you just look at ultramarine or something, you can get that from so many different places. So how did you decide? Did you want to have something that's representative of what's available right now commercially, or you had some other criteria to decide which source to use for a given pigment?
Yeah, basically we look like ultramarine and all well-known pigments. We have like about 6 or 8 or 10 different kinds. So we didn't have to decide like on one specific quality or one specific source, industrial source or something like that. We have also pigments which are very rare and were prepared by ourselves. Like these are exceptions. For example, the one of the lead yellows, tin antimony lead yellow, is absolutely unknown. It was discovered like about 15 years ago in paintings, Renaissance paintings in vicinity of Rome, and I have got 2 publications about it and the recipe. So I went to University of Zurich, and I know somebody there, and we prepared the pigment ourselves, and we made then the painted swatches with this pigment. But normally we used Kremer pigments. I don't know if you know
absolutely. Yeah.
So we use Kremer pigments, and also he has a whole a multitude of different ultramarine pigments, for example, or cobalt blue, or these well-known pigments. So we have mostly used several kinds of or several types of the same pigment.
Understood. I just noticed in the chat there was a different question also about the preparation of the swatches. So somebody was checking whether there were any varnishes applied after the drawdowns.
No.
Right.
No.
I was wondering, with well, quite a few people are interested whether there are plans to translate this into English or other languages.
Exactly. So I wanted basically to preemptively take it up, but I forgot. So we have definitely, we would like to definitely to translate it into English, and the translation is one large project which is doable, which is not a big problem. But we would need somebody, you know, like, because we have our own publishing house, and we would need somebody in Australia or in the States or in England or somewhere who would say, okay, if you produce a book in English, I am going to help or distribute it myself or help in distribute, because this is something which we cannot or do not want to attempt ourselves. So we are definitely interested, and we have already had some requests and also one proposition from a big publishing house in England, but these are they are not reliable. I have to say, I'm sorry to say that, but it was not possible to work with them. So if anybody from the 100 people listening here has an idea, please do not hesitate to contact me and to suggest the way how we could publish it in English.
I see. Thank you. I was wondering, in terms of the when you're talking about the 18-color printing process, and particularly the luminescent colors, there's a natural question about the permanence of the actual printed colors, because especially luminescent ones, I think, you know, or at least I think I know, they have some issues in the paint versions. So how did you approach that problem?
Like we took the best paints available on the market. That is the best we can do, and it's only one double page. You know, we originally, from financial reasons, wanted to let it, to dismiss it. You know, but then the printing company, you know, like gave us a good offer for that double page, so we did it, and I don't know what exactly, like, because I know that the normal luminescent paints, they are it's a big problem for restoration and conservation. Yeah. That I know. The other printing colors are normal printing colors which are available on the market, and yes, they will, for also longer times, they won't be totally stable. That we know, but there is no way around it, you know.
No, I understand. Look, I mean, I think we're all a little bit in awe of the magnitude of the project and the sheer time and dedication that it took. And it would be interesting to understand how you, at various times, hoped that the book would be used. Like, who would use it and how would they use it?
You see, this is the main reason for the success of our book. That basically you would think, and it's true, that the book is for specialists like yourself, you know, like for restaurators, conservators, for art historians, art buffs, and artists. But when you see, like, we are in a German-speaking area, and the first edition was mainly sold in Switzerland. About 4,500 copies were sold in Switzerland, which has 9 million people living here. And there are not 4,500 specialists and art buffs. And so we found out, when the book started selling really in big way, we found out that mainly the aesthetic dimension is strong enough that anybody can buy it. You know, we had I know of people. You know, my brother-in-law is a baker, and he bought the book and he takes it to every exhibition now, and he's totally excited about the colors and about the. So the book is basic. I know of restaurators who have it on their work table and use it really like on daily basis. But it's not only these people. That is very important to emphasize. Yeah.
Well, we're lucky enough because of Nick that we have a physical copy of the book here right next to us. So I can attest to the fact that it's beguiling to go through it. It's probably about the best way to describe it. It's absolutely beautiful. Look, I just want to scroll through the chat and make sure I'm not missing a question here. It's English language version. I think somebody was asking a question here about the Pantone colors, whether Pantone colors would not have essentially covered the color space.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the additional colors which we have chosen are Pantone colors, you know, but we have to print. You see, we have to print. Like if you would only have to depict, for example, ultramarine, then you could find the Pantone color which is correspondent to this, and that's it. But we have to paint. I don't know how many color shades and hues are in the book. So we can, you know, we have to combine the minimum. We had to choose the minimum amount of additional colors which can depict all of the 367 pigments and the paintings and all the other images. You see,
Right.
If you are looking for one specific color, you go to Pantone, and then they have these books, you know, and then you choose it. That's not, but that's a different problem.
Yeah. I mean, I can't help wondering what's happened to all the swatches. And you know, there are issues with. You mentioned that you use a certain kind of paper, which I assume was pH balance and so on. But you'd be wanting to preserve these swatches very carefully, presumably for your ongoing quality control.
Yeah, we have, you know, these swatches were used. You see, like to give you an impression of the printing, Hanspeter, Schneider, and Natasha were 3 weeks. Almost day and night, because the printing shop works in shifts, and one shift is from 7 o'clock in the morning until 2 o'clock, and then 2 o'clock until, I don't know, 8 o'clock in the evening. And they had to stay both shifts, and they were there and checking every sheet. They have to sign every sheet, and they had all the original swatches with them. You see, every sheet was checked against the swatches with a loop and everything. And these swatches are stored in we have like Stefan Muntwyler, before he died, he donated them to the publisher, to us, and we have them stored in the company of Hanspeter Schneider. And also what we have is the original pigments in small bottles. The whole set of, you know, they are organized according to the pages in the book. You know, we have every page in one box, and nicely etiquetted and everything. So this we have, and we have when there is a new edition, for example, the English edition, we will be using the same swatches as before.
Can I ask, were there pigments that you knew about but decided not to include because they were very fugitive, or maybe they were, you old organic pigments and not quite sure what the original preparation was, or was there any reason not to include a pigment?
Yeah, basically it was availability. Like, like the first thing which I would answer is availability. And then there are other considerations. Nowadays it's a toxicity, but as I am a chemist, basically I know how to handle this material. So that was a big help, that when there was, for example, emerald green or lead compounds or chromium compounds, then I would take over, and I would, take gloves and the protection, or we would go outside and handle them from outside and not in the atelier of Stefan and stuff like that. And also, basically, like, if I want to be frank, what we did was to take the collection of Stefan, which is basically the assortment of Kramer, and with additional stuff which he collected during these 40 years, and then concentrated on some specialties like this tin antimony, lead yellow, or we had another one like this, you know. So we added some of them. But I got a letter from somebody from the University of Zurich saying, yeah, why didn't you include these pigments? This is more important than the other one. This is this is not totally wrong, which what he read, but we had to somehow limit choice.
Look, for our part, I'd really like to thank you. I'm absolutely in awe of this work that you've done. Oh, I've got one more question here from Liz. Sorry.
Hello. I'm working at the moment. It's quite an adventure, actually.
Could you come please closer to the microphone? I don't hear you so well.
I've been painting, experimenting with color in abstraction since the 70s, and it's finally come around to wanting to work with botanical pigments, which I purchase extracts from one of two sources. One's in Vancouver, but for instance, a simple question, say if we're talking about madder and we've got madder pigment that's been extracted, are you using that same paper? And I guess you would know all about the way these colors shift depending on the pH of the surface they're put onto. How did you deal with that issue?
Like what we did is two things. Like first, we used the normal paper, you know, because what we basically attempt to show the artistic use of the pigment, and artists use this kind of paper, basically plus minus. It's buffered, it's pH neutral or slightly basic, slightly alkaline. This is one thing, and the another thing with plant dyes. We also included dyed fabric.
I thought so. Yes, that you use fabric. And what
you can
is that,
see
cotton, linen?
Cotton and silk.
Organic,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And did you mordant it by any chance, or was it direct onto the...
We have, I think, both.
Both.
Mordant and not mordant.
Interesting.
This was done for us in Germany with in a small dyeing establishment, and they are really two old guys, lady and man, and they are very experienced in and very professional in dyeing. So they dyed our fabrics for us.
Is it possible to make contact with that small company?
Yes. I have. I don't have it here, but we visited them. You know, we even visited them and looked at the process. And if you send me an email, Nick or David have my email. Send me an email, and I give you the address.
Oh, lovely! Thank you.
Sure.
Juraj, again, thank you so much. I think I'll pass you over to Nick for this last bit, but on my behalf, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Good questions.
Thank you, Juraj. That was really amazing. I'm still awestruck from the moment I first received a copy of Dan Farbenbuch. It's truly amazing. I think from the response we've seen tonight, everybody is totally in awe with its content and the work and the dedication that you made to producing that with your colleagues. So thank you for your time today to talk to us. Really great, and keep in touch. And thank you for being our first speaker for our inaugural session of the Canberra Colour Club. And we've got lots more happening, so keep in touch. So you might find some of the future presentations also of interest.
Thank you very much, Nick. And I want to add one more little thing. It's very, very pleasant to talk to specialists, you know, people who know the material, and the questions were accordingly of high level, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and talk again soon.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye, everybody.